Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, optimize, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is Dan Fitzer. Hi, Dan.
Good to be here, Adi.
It's so good to have you. We're going to have a great conversation about customer win-back. And you are an expert in that area. So this is a short bio, and then I'm going to ask you questions so you can introduce yourself more. So you were the co-founder at the Business Source Corp, where you helped generate over 50,000 customers. And while you were there, you created a customer win-back process, which again, the word process, that's music to my ears. And based on that success, you founded WinBack Labs, and you also an author of $1 Million Win-Back.
Yes.
Awesome. And we just discovered that we know John LaDuca from Playbook Builder, which I interviewed twice, and I was on his, I did a webinar with him 2 times as well. Love Playbook Builder. My clients use it, and a big shout out to John LaDuca. So thank you, John.
Yeah, huge. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, John's a fantastic person. He's so supportive. He's so smart. You know, he's like the smartest guy in the room when I'm there anyway. And so he's a wonderful person to know.
That's awesome. Absolutely. Okay, so now, Dan, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your journey to starting WinBack Labs.
Yeah, so what happened was myself and I had 2 partners, and we took this little company and we grew it, and we got, generated a significant number of customers. And in 2016, the wheels started to come off. Sales were shrinking and attrition was going way up. And I was responsible for this. So this is what I was supposed to take care of. And I really didn't know what to do, because whenever anybody left, we sent them out an email, and I was all about new customer acquisition, new. And so anyway, one of my partners, she pushed me to do WinBack. She really held my feet to the fire, said, Dan, this is your problem, work on it. And so I did. So basically what I did is I just threw everything I knew about marketing in the last 20 years. I threw it all into the hopper, and I created a WinBack program. And
let's define WinBack for those listeners that don't really know the term.
Yeah, so what it basically means is if you had a customer and you lost them and you want to get them back. So if you have a subscription service and they were a subscriber and they left, now you want to get them back. If you're in retail and you haven't seen them for some period of time, let's just say 6 months, 8 months, then you consider them lost. Whenever you consider them lost, then you go out and try to get them back. So basically, somebody's gone, and let's get them back.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question. From my experience, and you might have seen it too, business owners really like to concentrate on, I know a generality, but it is a trend, and I want to hear if you actually, not a trend, but a likelihood that that's what's happening, or a tendency, I would say, to always chase the new clients, the new customers, the new patients. But the gold mine really sits there in the people that already bought for you in the past, and of course are not upset, but are still want to be part of it. Why do you think people feel like they need to get new customers as opposed to going after existing customers and basically reactivate them and win them back?
There's so many reasons, but I think it comes down to 2 or 3 things. One is we're afraid that they left for a bad reason, and we don't want to go and deal with somebody that's unhappy, deal with that. We don't know what they're going to say, right? So we're afraid to go back to them. And so that's one thing. I think another thing is it's the culture, right? This isn't how we do business here. The person who founded the company, and maybe their sales leaders, they developed a process for generating business. It's always worked. Why would we want to mess around with it? A lot of people also resist change. You know, it's a very difficult. It's a very different. It's a very difficult thing, right? We've never done this before. We don't know what to expect. So there's a lot of things that can get in your way. And the thing is that people leave for all kinds of reasons. They don't all leave because they're crazy mad at you, you know, and the people that are unhappy when they leave, your unhappiest customers are your biggest source of learning. I mean, you've got to embrace them and find out where things are going sideways, because they're the ones who'll tell you. A lot of people are just too polite to say, listen, your product is lacking feature A, B, and C, or your customer service, we just have all these little gaps. And after a while, I just decided it's time to move on. Or maybe my needs have changed, or maybe there's a new competitor in the market. You've got to know these things, right? You need to, we talk to our prospects to understand what they want. We talk to our current customers to understand what they want, but we don't talk to our lost customers. And there's just a gold mine of information there that can really, really take us to the next level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about a strategy. Like, what would be the best strategy to start? Let's say we have listeners right now that have not contacted their previous clients. They are not active. What would be the place to start?
Well, first, you want to identify the people that you want to win back. And so, what you might do, let's just say you tell me, would you like to have a large customer base? You want a small customer base? You want a generic example? What would work best for you?
Let's choose a small customer base. No, not as large, but a small customer base. So that would be like more like a professional service company, right?
Sure. So let's just say that in the last 2 years, you've lost 20 people.
Okay.
Okay. So you've lost 20 people. So what you would do is you would say, who do I want to win back? You've only got 20 people, so you know them all personally. You've worked with them. So you would take a look and you would say, this is a person that I don't want back. So you take those people off the list. Then you take a look at the people who um, you served well and the job was over. And say you've got 10 people that you did the same type of work for. You would think, well, what can I do for them next? What value can I add for them next? And you'd reach out and you would talk to them and you would ask them, what is your need after this? Now, of course, you already know a lot about their needs, right? You've seen inside their companies. You can make a really intelligent decision on the type of value to offer them. And then you would, like I said, you would reach out to them. You try to understand what it would take to get them back. What's the value you're looking for now? And then you would create that process. And you'd create messaging based on what they had said to you. You'd create an offer based on what they said to you, and then you do a test launch with maybe 3 or 4 people, and put that offer out there, and see how people respond. And if people don't respond, call them up and ask them why. And if they do respond, ask them why also, because a big part of win back is really understanding the why. We guess why people buy and why people don't. We think it's our tremendous value proposition or a great presentation or whatever. We have no idea. I shouldn't say we don't have any idea, but when you start doing win-loss analyses, you start finding out, man, I didn't realize that you bought because of that, because of the competition did this or something else. I mean, it's there's a professor at University of Chicago, and he did this study, and what he found is that we only know people's motivations and what they're actually thinking like 20% of the time. And for people that we really know well, like our spouse or parents, we only know 30% of the time. So for us to guess why customers left and what it'll take to win them back, we really have to do a lot of asking. Now,
so what do you find, like, when you do that? Like, what are the common reasons why customers leave?
It depends on the type of business, but in SaaS, it could be somebody else came out with a new feature, or something bright and shiny. People wanted to try something new. If it's retail, it tends to be customer service or something like that. Also in subscription businesses, customer success can be a problem. You know, they really don't understand everything that the software has to offer, and so they come in with one expectation, and that expectation isn't fulfilled, even though the product could do it, take care of it. There's other reasons, you know, like for example, a magazine. It's maybe a crappy example. Think of any product you go in, you see the marketing, right? And the marketing promises you X, Y, and Z. Well, after you use it for a year, it's like, yeah, but then there's, you know, A, E, and L, you know, that come up. Like Inc. magazine. I'll go back to the magazine because this makes it really simple. So Inc. magazine did a win back. And what they did after the win back is they did a win-loss analysis. And they talked to the buyers and they said, why did you buy? And the buyer said, we bought because what did you want that we offer? We want longer articles with 5 or 6 takeaways that we figure out for ourselves. The people who didn't buy again said, we want short articles with 1 takeaway and we want you to give it to us. We want to like bang, 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 right? So their ideal customer, the people who would stay on, the people who wanted exactly what they offer after spending a year with them, were these people who wanted this thing. Whereas the people who wanted business articles, you know, high quality business articles, but they didn't come back, is because they wanted them shorter. They wanted to be given the takeaway. They wanted to blast through it. So you're going to learn these subtle nuances that will keep customers 2, 3, 4, 5 times longer.
Right.
With the win-loss. And, you know, when we give this example of a professional services company where you've got a very small number of people, you know, with the win back is very simple. You know, we could do something more complicated if you want with a larger customer base, whatever works for you.
Yeah, but let's say, okay, so you do a win-loss analysis, right? After you do that, how do you use the data in order to win the customers back?
Okay, so first we identify who our best candidates are. Okay, then we reach out to them and we try to understand why they left and how to win them back. So if you have a bigger customer base, I'll use a bigger customer base so that it makes more sense when we dig deeper. And then, okay, is that okay with you?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
You're the
fantastic.
expert here.
Okay,
Yes.
so let's just say that you've got 1,000 customers. Okay, we want to rank them based on their previous activity. So the customer who comes back, their lifetime value doubles or more. That's what my study found, and that's what a study featured in the Harvard Business Review found. Right? Okay, so if they've got a previous a large lifetime value, there's somebody you want back. If they've bought from you more recently, there's a better chance of coming back. So you score all your win back or all your past customers based on recency and frequency and the amount that they spent earlier, right? So now you rank them all based on that scoring. So you say, okay, you know what? I want to do a test with the top 100 people. Okay, the people and then you reach out to those 100 people and find out why they left, what it'll take to win them back. But before you do that outreach, you talk to all your customer facing teams. You talk to customer success, you talk to customer service, you talk to sales, and you say, why do you think people leave and why do you think they'll come back? So now you've got context for that survey. So you learn from you do that internal survey, then you do this qualitative survey externally. So you get the big rocks about why people are leaving and what it'll take to win them back. So you typically only need to talk to about 20 people before you start hearing the same thing over again, right? So now you've got the top, say, 3 reasons why people are leaving and the top 3 things that you need to fix to get people back. Then what you do is you do a qualitative analysis. So now you've got 1,000 people, you've talked to 20, the other 980, you say, which of these 3 reasons was the reason why you left, and which of these 3 reasons would it take to win you back? And now you're going to get this hierarchy of exactly why people or the biggest reason why people are leaving. And this is the thing you've got to fix before you reach out, right? and or this is the value you've got to add also to get people back. Does that make sense?
It does.
So then what you do is now that you know why people have left, what it'll take to win them back, what's most important, now what you do is you want to create messaging and an offer based on everything you learned in those 3 surveys. So then what you do is you do a small launch. Say you launch, like as I said, out to 100 people. You test that messaging, you test that offer. Now, out of those 100 people, let's just say that 15 bought and 85 didn't buy. So you reach out to those 15 and you say, you do the win-loss analysis. What made you buy? Like, what did we offer that was important to you? And you might find 2 or 3 things that were just very special to their circumstances. You know what I mean? Like things that you didn't expect. Or you might find you nailed it. Then you talk to the other 85 who didn't buy. What didn't we offer? What were you looking for? Blah, blah, blah. So now you can modify your offer, and then you go and you do your full launch. Or you can do one more test to test out what you learn. But the thing is that you do a test, then you do the win-loss analysis, and then you do your big launch. And after you do your big launch, what you'll learn is the real reasons why people are coming back, because you do win-loss analysis again after the big launch. Now you know the real value people want to come back. You know the real reasons why people left. So you fix them for your past customers. Now you fix them for your current customers, and you offer that new value to your current customers, and now your retention rate goes up. So it's just this beautiful cycle because you've got all these new insights.
Absolutely. Now, do you find it easy? Do you find that people are actually responding when you're doing all those surveys?
Well, I mean, it depends on your customer base. What I do is, like, if I've got a large group, it's very hard to find people who will talk to you, right? So what you do is you send out the survey to, a large number of people, and you give them some kind of an incentive to take the survey. And so as soon as you get like 40 people saying yes, chances are only 15 or 20 will actually show up. And so that's the way I do it. I reach out to a lot of people, give them an incentive, just say, I'm only asking for 10 minutes of your time. This is going to be very fast, and I'm not going to try to sell you. We're trying to understand how to do better, right? We're not trying to sell you here. We're trying to understand how we can do better. And I can tell you a little bit more about that if you're interested, or.
Sure.
Okay. So one of the big reasons why WinBack works is there's these psychological principles behind WinBack. So when you've got a customer, when a customer leaves, they may have left on good terms, they may have left on bad terms. Let's just say they left on bad terms. Like that last touch with that customer, it was like, man, they don't think well of you. So they don't think well of you. So if you're in B2B, there's peer recommendations and G2, they're also important. They're not going to be saying good things about you, right? They might not overtly go and do it, but you've got a lot of people out there putting out some bad word of mouth. And it could even be a few people, but a few vocal people saying bad things about you isn't good. So there's something called the peak end rule. It's from Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel Prize winning economist. And what he said is that what we remember about an experience, the biggest things that impact are the peak of the experience and the end of the experience. Well, what we do is because they have a disproportionately large impact on how you feel about an experience. So what we do is we create a new end experience. So we reach out to these lost customers and we say, where did things go wrong? Can we fix them? We're not trying to sell you. And you create a very, very positive end experience. People.
I guess you let people talk, and people like to talk about themselves and their experience, so that way they can actually, talk to you. I can totally see that.
Yeah. So now you've created this this end experience that is now more positive than the previous one, right? And it has a disproportionately large impact on how they feel about you. So that's one thing. Now there's something else called the pratfall effect. And the pratfall effect says that when you try to fix a problem, when you messed up and you try to fix a problem, and you do fix the problem, people see you as caring and competent. So now they might have seen you as less than competent because you screwed up in some way and that's why they left. Now, all of a sudden, they see you as more competent. And when you stack the pratfall effect on top of the peak end rule, people can turn around from being detractors to being literally becoming advocates. And I'll just give you one example of how powerful this is. Marriott Hotels, they did a study, and what they did is they talked to people who had the people who had a good stay. 89% of them said that they would come back. The people who had a bad stay, where Marriott fixed the problem, 94% said that they would come back. People are actually more likely to come back if they've had a problem and that you fixed, because you've been through something together. You showed you care, and it's a big deal.
I heard. I mean, I can totally see that. It's as you were talking about it, I just thought about what can businesses do not to get to the point where customers live? Like, what are some of the things that you are using in your WinBack approach that businesses can actually do in order to find out how their customers and clients are doing before it's too late and they leave?
Okay, well, I think that most businesses talk to their current customers. They know what they're looking for. They know, what's the next thing they want. So I think you've already got that information, or you should have that information. That's step one. Make sure you've got that information. But step two is talk to the customers you've already lost and ask them, why did they leave? What would it take to win them back? Again, you're just looking for insight into where things have gone
that's
sideways.
what actually left. My question is, like, it seems to me, that if we got to a point where somebody leaves and they're on bad terms or they're not happy, I was just thinking maybe something can also be done while they're still your customers to ask those questions to learn how they're doing. It's kind of like, when you have employees, they leave and then you do the exit interview or they're not happy. But if you're doing stay interviews, you can actually catch it earlier. It's kind of like preventative medicine or preventative maintenance, right?
Definitely. And that's something that, you should do constantly. Like, you should always have somebody reaching out every month to the clients, at minimum with your big clients, and asking, where are things going sideways in any one area? Is there something that we're just missing the mark by a little bit? And make it very, very easy for them to give you honest answers, because I think a lot of people are afraid of hearing bad things. And we want to encourage hearing those bad things, because it's difficult for people to give us negative feedback, so we have to make it very easy for them.
I agree. I totally agree. Dan, if people want to know more about what you do and use the services and find out more about you, where should they go?
Well, if you go to WinBack Labs, there's a lot of information there. I'm on LinkedIn. I've done a lot of posting on LinkedIn, and I've got a book called $1 Billion WinBack, and basically that takes everything I've learned since 2016 about WinBack, and I've got a WinBack podcast, and I've got tremendous guests who've shared, their insights. So it's all wrapped up in one book. So that's the fast and easy way to get up to speed on WinBack and the whole process of winning people back.
I love it. And all will be in the show notes. So all of our listeners, just go there, buy the book, read it, and win back your customers. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Dan, for being a guest on this podcast. Such great insights that everyone can use, because we all have customers that we can win back.
Definitely. Thanks so much for having me on, Addie.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.